innovative project in which we created a corporate award for Honeywell's 50 Best Coaches. While working at Honeywell and later at a spun-off computer business, the France-based Group Bull, I developed a strong sense of how people should be coached and eventually left the latter company, focusing my efforts on consulting and teaching positions at the University of Minnesota and University of Michigan Business School. As part of my consulting work for companies such as Shell Oil, Ameritech, and Johnson & Johnson, I implemented the process called action learning, which was designed to help people, especially leaders, grow and develop faster and more effectively. In effect, action learning created a hybrid world that combined the classroom with real work environments. Learning new skills and concepts in this atmosphere was a training breakthrough for many companies, as documented in Action Learning, a book I co-authored with Jim Noel, another action learning proponent. Although action learning usually takes place in teams, individual coaching is often integrated into the process. From these experiences, I developed an approach to coaching that dovetailed with the work Peter had been doing. Together, we created the model that became action coaching. Peter speaks. As a psychology professor at Columbia University and chairman of their Department of Organizational and Counseling Psychology until 1997, I studied and taught topics such as career decision-making and work adjustment. As a result of my research in these areas, I wrote a paper for AT&T in the early 1980s called Counseling in Business and Industry. This paper generated a great deal of interest at AT&T and resulted in a variety of consulting projects with the company, including working with their psychologists to use assessment center technology to enhance development. Much of my work with AT&T involved coaching executives, though we didn't call it coaching back then. I was fascinated by the experience and broadened my consulting practice so that I could do more of it. At the same time, however, I knew that I was deficient in knowledge about how organizational systems influence individual performance. I began studying the effect of organizational systems such as leadership practices, strategies, culture, and the like on individuals. Increasingly, I recognized that it was impossible to coach people unless you understood the organization-individual dynamic. In the early 90s, a colleague of mine at Columbia University, W. Warner Burke, was asked to lead a team that was developing a program for Arthur Andersen to help partners enhance relationships with clients and colleagues. Burke, who is largely credited with creating the field of organizational development, asked me to join the team. It was there that I met David, who was also a member of the team. In essence, what we ended up doing at Arthur Andersen was coaching partners in ways that required the use of the organization-individual dynamic to which I referred. Working with David, I realized that we shared the same beliefs about how people could be coached effectively. Beliefs, I might add, that were at odds with the mainstream coaching methods of the time. David and I formalized our approach, working with companies such as Levi Strauss, Merck, Bell South, and Bank of America. We found that our approach, which we termed action coaching, was especially effective when people were going through difficult transitions or being asked to develop as leaders. In 1997, I left Columbia and have been pursuing consulting full-time, working with David on many coaching assignments, as well as on my own. Few professional coaches have worked with as many different people in as many different situations as we have. We believe you'll benefit from the diversity and depth of our experience. You'll learn how to deal with a broad spectrum of problems and opportunities. The early chapters will explain our process and how to use it to help individuals and organizations solve problems and capitalize on opportunities. First, however, we need to show you action coaching in action. The initial chapters of this audiobook will give you a detailed description of action coaching, what it is, how it works, and how to do it. At this point, however, we simply want you to share our enthusiasm about a coaching concept that will help you help others become more effective managers and leaders. Introduction. There's a reason why action modifies coaching in our title. Action takes place when we coach people, specifically people